speak about source temple, we speak
in terms of levels. There are levels of what we call identification. At the highest level of identification, source temple is nothing but an open space, an open door, portal, what you would call it, through which the grace of God is descending into the world.
that would be at the highest possible conceptual frequency. In other words, it's still understandable, but only just barely, because you don't really understand what openness means.
Yeah, when we speak of openness, we mean openness without boundaries.
There are no boundaries. This door is open to the universe. But the cool thing is that somehow, miraculously, we've managed to sustain it in such a way that that open door is accessible.
There are steps that are necessary, and those steps are physical because you are physical. In other words, there's action involved, but action is physical. Now you try to separate the action in consciousness from the doing
in your manifest world. It's not possible. That's why you need a persist as love. It's a means by which you can accomplish the mission, the action of love, which is forgiveness. As long as I'm here, I'm doing as I'm being instructed to do, according to
our instruction manual, which is a course in which teaches me to serve, instructs me to serve others. The way to awaken is to awaken others. That's an activity. Is it a dream activity? All activity is dream activity.
we're looking at Source Temple. As a vehicle, a service vehicle. And my instruction to light workers would be, we have a successful model going here. That would be very important news for any light worker anywhere in the world. They want to know that there's a successful model for community living, for living together, because the world is a community. We're going to deny the fact that the world is a bunch of people? It's what it is. I don't need to know that it's a dream. Of course it's a dream. But it appears as a bunch of people. Now, there needs to be a manner in which this bunch of people can gather in a common endeavor or a common purpose and escape the world and escape the idea of people. We have a successful model here at Source Temple. It was an experiment. We really had no idea how it was going to work. We had no idea. We just had one thing when we came in, and that would be me. Perfect faith, that's all we had. Perfect faith because the outcome is certain in my mind. I brought the outcome with me. Now, how that translates into an ever-brightening dream context is experimental.
In other words, I had no idea it was going to look like this. How do we do it? We took it one day at a time. And it unfolded
into a perfect model for transcendence, which is what the world needs. The world needs a perfect demonstration of the possibility of escaping from the location associated with the Big Bang. You had a big bang in your mind. It was the instant of apparent separation.
how we distilled the teaching of Jesus in A Course in Miracles.
One thought, persist as love. That's how we did that, despite the ever-changing conditions within which we found ourselves.
We persisted as love. Because there was one with us
in whom the outcome is assured, is accomplished, is certain. And your perfect faith, my perfect faith, translated into your perfect faith in me, do you see? I actually did that. I stood here and waited for you to come around. It took you a moment. In the beginning, you were thinking, oh, this guy might be a little bit awful. But I just persisted in loving you despite all of your doubts. In other words, I forgave you actively.
You represent the possibility of all
human beings. You see how Source Temple actually works as a demonstration? There's a successful model. And light workers, true light workers, will recognize this model as a successful one. They'll look at us and say, oh yeah, it's working. They'll understand immediately. They don't understand. They won't ask any, they'll see the video persist and they'll understand, oh yeah, it's working. Because it's not just another community project. It's the end of dreaming. The end of dreaming for everyone, not just for one guy sitting somewhere doing A Course in Miracles, but for everyone, for all human beings. The only response to that is gratitude. If you understand the task at hand, which is not the introduction of more concepts. It's the translation or the transformation of the material world into its natural states.
Being a model, it's useful. Being a model, anyone can use it. Anyone can build one.
You ever build models? I used to build models. We built this model. We built it. We did it. We are the architects of this model. And once again, it was an experiment from the beginning. We had no idea what it was going to look like. Turns out it looks like this. What it looks like is us gathered in a single purpose, sharing a common experience of transcending the world, a brightening of our individual dreams in a shared dream of selfless service.
That would be a good definition of service. It works, and that should make happy.
Because the possibility exists now within the context of time and space. The cool thing about time and space is that it's a continuum. Now this would be I want to introduce this idea that miracles are indiscriminate, or all things are possible in God. The same idea. That's true because time and space is a continuum, and what we're doing here is being felt everywhere in time and space. And if you're a dreamer, you are in time and space, you see.
Any time and space.
Any time and space. You look out into the sky, you see all of those stars and all of that. That's all time and space. And reality is beyond all of that. We understand that. But because our model is successful, the world is safe. Any world, not just this one. Any possibility of an objective condition is saved because of our demonstration. Come on, it's physical and you can feel it.
We are collapsing all possibility of
particle form relationship anywhere in the universe. In other words, the physics of planet Earth are the same as the physics of Alpha Centauri. There's no difference. You see, if it works here, it works everywhere. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. But it has to actually work in a manner which is tangible, which is substantial. In other words, which is useful within the context of a manifest condition or an objective condition. So what are the qualities that are necessary for a sustained model? Flexibility is key. Yes? Class? Yes? Is that the demand?
Why is flexibility key? Because there is no work. That would be one answer.
So anything's liable to happen. Yes, anything's liable to happen. And you need to be flexible. Is that why you do yoga? It's all just thought. Absolutely. That's why you do whatever you do in order to remain flexible.
You do it with your body as well as your mind?
We don't confuse levels here. We understand that the body is of the mind. We understand that perfectly well. Yet if it persists, we understand also that there's persistence necessary in order to perceive truly. In other words, to perceive a perfect reflection of the love which is the context of my being. The good news is that we have achieved a perfect reflection in this place. That's the good news.
We have a sustained model of transcendence. Is it changing all the time?
There are adjustments that are still being made. Absolutely. The adjustments will continue until the disappearance of the universe. Now, it's obvious that this transmission is coming from a higher frequency, isn't it? But there's no channeling involved. I'm right here.
Down to the toe. And for that you're grateful.
So any light worker, and by light worker I mean those that know who they are and understand why they're here. And there are many of those now in service. Any light worker would be able to use us, not even as a conceptual framework, but more as a simple acknowledgement that everything is going according to plan. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I used to call this a nod and a wink. Like any light worker can use Source Temple and just wink at us. And we'll just wink back. And that will be the communication. You see, it doesn't have to be this exchange of useless information, including there is no world. We don't need to hear that.
We just need to know that
it's happening. That humanity is awakening. It's actually happening. The description in the Course in Miracles, it's actually happening. It's occurring, and it's occurring now. Because you are here taking your part. You decided, I want to be part of this awakening. But notice you didn't do it conceptually. You felt something about this place. Yeah. It was tacit.
you feel it in your bones, you feel it in your being, you feel it in your balls. There's an actual transformation going on in this transitional location.
In consciousness. It's in consciousness, and therefore is accessible and available to all of consciousness. I'll use consciousness as the domain of the ego, of the dreamers, the sleeping ones. This is available to all of consciousness, because consciousness is a continuum. I would be really glad to know that if I was out there in the field. I would be glad to know that there's a, let's call it a wormhole, a stable wormhole, Let's call it that. Wouldn't you? Aren't you glad to know that there's a stable portal in your mind that you can access? Not only that, but you can make a phone call and access it if you need to. And you're not, just think about them. You don't have to do that. You can actually call on the phone and we'll talk to you.
Thank you. And tell you everything's going to be okay because we're here and we succeeded. The model works.
The other thing, we did two things, right, Milo? Persist as love was how we distilled the teaching of Jesus. And the other thought, and these are somewhat original, this is somewhat original, this thought. Life as art is what we did in this place. We lived our life artistically. In other words, we didn't waste anything. We used everything. We used the medium of the world in order to paint a picture of forgiveness. Do you see? We lived our life as artists, and we're not spirituals. We're not even a spiritual community. There's nothing spiritual. We're more a neighborhood than a spiritual community. We're neighbors. Yes, we know. We treat each other as neighbors, and we do as we were instructed by our Savior. We love one another. We love our neighbors as ourselves. Literally. The idea of life as art is the same idea as we are the architects of salvation. Is that? Can you get it that way? Mm-hmm. And these are, I'm looking at all of the light workers, the bringers of salvation, as Jesus calls us. Jesus calls us. And we have constructed using the things of the world. The old man said this to me a long time ago. He said, you use the things of the world to transcend the world. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. We just do it artistically. We don't waste anything. We're not really destructive in the sense that we just knock everything over. No, we can use that over there. We'll fit that right in there. Look at how perfectly that works. It establishes the communication between that and that. You see on the part. It's nice, isn't it? This is persist as love again. It's what we're doing with the neighbors. We're giving them a thought that establishes the communication between God and man. We're actually doing that. But we're doing it in a manner that can be received. And that would be persist as love. But we're not wasting anything. We're using everything as artists do. We see art in everything. That would be our bright awareness, the light of our relationship as it translates into the world would be the manifestation of love. The projection. We're projecting love. Our project is persist as love. We are projecting love into the manifest world, and we are seeing the results. And those results are attracting others who are seeking an alternative, who are seeking a real alternative, a tangible, a substantial alternative, something you can sink your teeth into. Something real that you can hold on to. Not some abstract concept that comes and goes. But let's call it an environment which is itself transformative. In other words, it's in the air. It's in the structures. It's literally in this structure. The transformative energy is in this structure. How do I know? I put it there. That's how we put it there together. You have to it's really not easy to explain what we are. But if you're looking for an alternative, it's pretty self-evident that we are that. Thank God we don't have to explain ourselves. We can just be ourselves. harmoniously. And that would be our model. Our model is harmonious.
Everyone is playing his part. Everyone is getting to be himself. And there's no conflict. As a model, as a demonstration, once again, not as a concept.
All right, guys, I think that's pretty much, we get a little bit out of that. Yeah? What do you think? Yeah? Namaste.